What up, homies? A few days ago, I came out on top against Aussie Catola, ever possibly the biggest heads-up matches ever of all time, via a bunch of sit-and-goes or shootouts, starting at a 1 million euro buy-in and escalating to 5 million and 6 million euro buy-in. And I came on top for winning over 15 million US dollars. I had to figure out that this was actually the biggest buy-in that I had played because I had played some very large games in Asia. Ring, it might have even been bigger, but it was not streamed. And actually, I played some very massive pots. Before this, I played one where we both had at least 50 million on the table. I think it was more. I knew that over 10 million was in the pot. As far as this game's concerned, I had quite a small piece. I'm still playing for an enormous amount, don't you worry. But I'm not crazy or rich enough to, well, I am crazy enough, but not rich enough to play for 2.5 million euros or whatever. You would have to be like, I don't know, like having 50 million or so to play for this, especially laying some juice on the side. It wasn't like the most clear-cut edge ever, and definitely Aussie Gatola is a smart guy, and there's some clear signs that he was learning, and I like to pay attention to that when I'm playing against everyone. From my experience, one of the biggest mistakes you can make is assuming people are stupid, and then, of course, they prove you wrong eventually, and then you lose your ass. Don't do that. Not everyone's as stupid as you think, although people definitely could use some work. Anyway, let's get to the hands.
How do you become Jungleman?
Very first hand, a little backstory on this, by the way. So I'd actually played in Tallinn with him, Tallinn, Estonia, and I had played a 1 million euro buy-in and had already lost. And then I had flown here to play him. We start off as with a 1 million euro buy-in, and I already lost people, my friends, money. I was feeling a little bit upset. But straight away in this first $1 million euro buy-in, again, kings versus ace king, loads of skill. All the skill came into play. He just jams all in, which actually is kind of meaningful. I wonder if he's going to have a 4-bet, if he's going to jam all in this spot, especially with the roughly equal stack sizes. But other than that, there's not a whole lot to say here. It's just a cooler, and there's not a whole lot he could really do. There's some argument for calling, I guess, but in this case, he wants to probably increase variance. I should try to run it twice or more so that it doesn't bust, because that actually matters in a shootout. All right, so that's about that of that hand, and he decided he wanted to play a little bigger. So moving on from this, I started off kind of killing him in this 3 million euro shootout, which he wanted to play. He made a big raise when he's low on chips with king 6 offsuit. I called ace 10. I'm trying to keep his worst hands in. At this point, I haven't 3-betting that much, and he hadn't shown that he had peeled 3-bets really late yet. I thought it was quite reasonable, especially since he made it a bigger size. And the flop was 666. Very foreboding flop, at least from my perspective. And I actually have a great hand. My hand is good enough to check raise. It's so good. And yeah, I just check call and try to keep dominator hands in. But check raise is totally a viable thing to do. Moving forward, especially if he peels check raises reasonably late, or if we have like a reasonably developed check raise strategy on this board, I can totally do that. But anyway, I check call against his 75% c-bet, which is not that big. He's actually supposed to bet bigger because this board is very dry. He doesn't have something a lot. I don't have something a lot. And he wants to put pressure on a lot of my capped ranges. Turn is a 10, which I think is a good card for me. Yeah, I'm not going to fold 10 against almost anything he does, basically. And he tanks. He bets 150. I think this is quite a small bet. He, instead of betting a little bit on the larger size, which he's done with some good hands, I thought he might be on the weaker end. And he's also a bit shallow. He bets less than half pot. So I decided to go ahead and give him a raise, 400,000. This isn't obnoxious raise size. I could do this as a bluff as well, and puts a lot of his weaker hands in a really annoying situation where he has to call or get exploited. Yeah, that's pretty much all I'm doing here. I'm going to follow through on the river a fair bit as well with my bluffs, and I just have it. So I'm just trying to get thin value from ace king, ace jack, if he's got that. These kinds of hands. And he figures it out. Surprise and calls. Takes him a minute. River's an ace. That's a really weird card because he could have improved, but I just think to myself, well, I got to get value somehow. I could have bet smaller. Like, that's an option, betting like a third pot or something. At this point, I'm repping like a river ace or quads, to be honest. It's still like a 2/3 bot size bet. It's 800-ish into 1.2, which is not that big, though it may seem big because playing basically a tournament. And cash games is not that big, and it doesn't really work out to play much differently from a tournament because of the fact that we're heads up, and the only way to ladder up is knock out the other guy. Anyway, I was hoping that he calls with just whatever. He just has like pocket kings somehow and calls, or pocket eights. Not really rare, to be honest. Anyway, he jams all in for like 35k more. I'm not falling for that price. And yeah, he's got quads. Maybe he could have got a little bit less if I had check called. Knowing him, he does like to overbet lots of rivers. So there's a chance I could have just check called, and saved a bit of money. I thought he would have hero called me down some percentage, but if he doesn't, then he kind of owned me here and got full stack instead of getting partial stack, as I would have liked. But yeah, this had doubled him up in the 3 million euro buy-in, and shortly after I got coolered again with 2-pair against 2-pair. Not a great situation. This one also in the 3 million buy-in. He raises pre-flop with the 6-4 offsuit. I think I had King-Jack offsuit, to be honest. I think I did not have King-Jack suited, but I'm not 100% sure. It doesn't matter for this hand. Yeah, but I should have 3-bet King-Jack suited. All right, so he flops open-ended. It actually would have been a great situation. I was totally going to call down on a lot of different runouts here. But Fate had another plan in mind for me. So he figures it out. He bets the flop. You don't have to bet the flop here, by the way. It's a min-raise pre-flop. He bets 70 into 120, which is a little larger size for this board. Whatever, I'm check calling him, calling him all the way down. Turn is a 5, giving me a lot of potential trips. I have quite a few against a min-raise, and not that many King X. Well, I have 3 bets on my King X. Excuse me, I have a little bit less just because we're shallow. I should have not had this combo, but here we are. He thinks about it forever, and he does not pick the GTO size. He picks a near pot size, 240 into 260. The GTO size is, well, in this case, it might be whatever, but a little bit deeper. It actually is a very big size, or a very small size. It's not this size. Anyway, so yeah, I'm not folding. I'm actually supposed to call quite some 7x here. Pretty easy decision at this point. River's a 10. I'm thinking to myself, if he bets reasonable sizes, I'm just going to call him. I've seen him play some hands where he overplays some things, and maybe he has king 10 or aces. Anyway, he goes into the tank, and he decides to jam all in this pot for 1.14 into a 740k pot. That's pretty spicy. I did not want to see that. That was not what I was looking for, guys. Yeah, now I have a total bluff catcher. Now the jack is useless. Other than it doesn't bluff draws that he picks those hands. Apparently he does. And I have to decide if he's bluffing enough. I just decide I don't really think so. And I didn't think he would bluff for this size. I actually thought he'd bluff for a little bit less. But I stand corrected and made the incorrect fold. Now, I actually did sim this. Look this up in GTO Wizard, one of my sponsors. Hello. And of course, if you're going to buy it, probably use my affiliate code. By the way, GTO Wizard is a great tool for heads up sit and goes and for any cash cams. I got to shill. You got to let me shill so I can make some money. Anyway, by the way, these videos do not pay. Let me tell you. And according to the simulation, I don't really lose by folding this hand. However, I am supposed to call some 7x, which is part of his jam range. It takes away from his sets of 7 combinations. I am supposed to call king 7, which I would have called because I'm thinking that he might have, a similar hand and overplay it. My general rule of thumb is to not fold things that can break even against what they shove. because then you can actually tie the hand against part of their value range. That rules work really well for me. I've had loads of situations where I folded such hands that people just show me some weird hand that I didn't expect or some overplayed hand. GTO wise, I could totally fold here and it's fine. But if I had the ace-7 or whatever that I'm supposed to hero call or 7-2, I probably would have folded that as well. So he should be making some kind of money here with this jam. Yeah, it's not really the GTO size, but whatever. It seems like he got me here. Really frustrating. I'll have to keep that in mind. And sometimes there's nothing really you can do when people have the right combination of bluffs, the right amount of bluffs, which I suspect he may have, or at least somewhat close. You gotta get bluffed sometimes, guys. Anyway, yep, not a fun situation. A big thing was I thought that my number of 5x would protect me against an overred jam. I should have a lot against a min raise. But here we are. Apparently doesn't if you have to hero call some 7x. All right, moving on. We're still in the 3 million sit and go. I open the queen jack. He's 3-betting me a lot. He's putting the pressure on. I'm calling versus 3-bet. That's how that works. I'm not folding queen jack offsuit. And the flop is queen high. I've got 1 million-ish behind. Can't quite see it. Pot's 450k. He decides to bet 100k into that. I just decide it's best to raise and get it in against a lot of his value, like 10s, jacks, 9x. Maybe he gets sticky with ace jack, I guess. The pot's already kind of big. He bet 100 now. Okay, so I just decided to raise and make it 400. I can have quite a few draws and have all kinds of things. He just says the king's not telling me if my play is good or not, and we just get it in, and I don't win. It's basically that simple. It would tell me a lot more if he had 10s and got it in, or folded 10s, or just had ace-10, or got in 6-7. But the result of the hand doesn't tell me much, and it's basically just a cooler. I could have called and waited for some safe turns, but he was 3-betting a lot at this point. There is some value to protecting the equity of overcards, not to mention that just clearly was way ahead of his range. He's streaming a lot of hands. And I lost. This is where I lost the 3 million euro sit and go. I felt ejected. I lost my friend's money. Now he was pretty far into the lead, like maybe over almost 4 million euros into the lead or so. A bit of a big deal. But then he decided to raise the stakes and play a 5 million euro buy-in. Fortunately for me. Moving on to this 5-3 of diamonds hand. He 3-bets me. He's been 3-betting a lot. I'm calling my 5-3 of diamonds. GTO Wizard isn't folded. I don't like the folded. It's a little bit underrated. Here we are. So he checks to me on the ace-queen-10 board. I got a flush draw. I decided to bet a little bit bigger because he should have quite a few things that peel here, and I think he's got quite a few high card Broadway type hands that tend to do this. And he does in fact decide to call. I bet 400 into 450. He calls. Might have some ace x. Could have king queen jacks, kings. We know he has plenty of those kinds of hands. Jack 10 suited. The turn is a 9. It's pretty innocuous unless he's 10-9 suited, queen 9 suited, very few combos, or ace 9 suited. All those collectively are 6 combos, by the way, guys. He could have ace 9, I guess. Anyway, I just decide I'm going for it. He can have a lot of things that just turn a pair plus draw. And I still got a flush draw. Hello. I bet setting myself up for a river jam. Not quite geometric, but close. I should probably bet a little bit bigger, but whatever. Anyways, so he tanks forever, and he does call. Bet 700 into 1.4. The river's a 7. Also an innocuous card, unless it is a 7 suited, which apparently it does. Checks to me. Apparently, this was one of the biggest pots I'd ever played. I didn't really think about it like that. I just thought this is the move. I'm going all in. He can fold kings, jacks, king, queen, ace x if he has it. Jack 10 suited, you name it. And he probably has quite a few of those. And I bet 1.8 into 3.1. He had quite a difficult situation with ace 8. You have to decide if I'm bluffing enough. and he does in fact decide to fold. I actually took a look at this in a GTO Wizard, and it surprised me a little bit, the solution that is. In fact, you're supposed to fold a lot of ace-x, even on the turn, and call a lot of king-queen as hero calls down, queen-jack type things. That's apparently the solution here. You actually don't really want these shitty ace-x type hands in this spot in his shoes. So actually his play is kind of okay. And he should just pick me off with king-queen or whatever. Not very obvious. So things were looking pretty good for me in this 5 million euro buy-in. All right, so here's a pretty interesting hand. It was a weird one because I had actually improved, and then my hand had gotten not better. So I had raised. This was a 6 million euro buy-in. Actually, I had won a couple 5 million euro buy-ins by this point, and he 3-bets me. He's been 3-betting a fair bit. I decided to 4-bet the ace-8 offsuit. There had been no 4-bets in any of our matches ever, and he has a bit of a difficult decision with ace-jack suited. He does call. Now I made it 1.4 into the pot. There's 1.4 behind the pot. The blinds were 30-60 to start, and the flop's pretty terrible for me. Queen 7-5. I have no draw, no equity, and he can hit this board quite a lot. So I decide to check. Turn is a jack. He checks, which surprises me a little bit, like 10%. I would have thought he would have bet and bet kind of thin. Yeah, apparently he wants to slow play it or thinks it's not good. I don't really know what's going on here. Anyway, I decide to make a stab. He can still fold quite a few things. He can fold like 10s or 9s, 8-7 suited, ace-10, offsuit, things like that, etc. This play, it's a bit questionable. But at least at the time, I thought it was okay, and against him, it might be okay. He does make the call, rightfully so. He shouldn't fold ace-jack here, guys. Ace-jack would be quite a bad fold for 1.2 into 2.8. It's pretty hard to have him beat, and I could totally have ace-jack. If I had ace-jack, I was value betting. I could have also king-queen, by the way, here, or queen-jack, or set of jacks, or queen-10 suited, or queen-10 offsuit, I guess. I don't have queen-10 suited. I decided to 4-bet queen-10 offsuit. I could, I guess, occasionally have a flush. That is a thing, to check back flush draws in 4-bet pots. It's not done that much, but little side note is that in the short deck, apparently it's really a thing, especially with a big draw, to check back a big draw in a 4-bet pot. An option for you guys to think about. Usually people don't really think about those things, but in fact, there's more value than it may appear in these situations. The river was an ace, giving me top pair. I thought at first this was a good card until he starts counting his chips. And sure enough, he does jam all in for about half pot, which is not at all what I wanted to see, because now my hand is a total bluff catcher. I might need a fold or river top pair in a massive pot. So here, my whole thought process is, okay, well, does he have any bluffs? How many hands can he have for value? What are the hands he can have for value? He could have ace-king with the ace of spades or king of spades type thing. That's actually a lot of combos. That's like half the ace-king combos almost. Well, I'd have to count. I got one of the offsuit aces. It might even be more in this case. He could have a slow played flush. That's a possibility. There are quite a few flushes. He can have ace-jack, which he did have. There's quite a few ace-jacks. He can have king-10 offsuit, I guess, for king-10 of clubs. That's maybe a thing if he's going to make very questionable appeal on the turn. He can have ace-10 with a spade. That's quite a few combos as well. He can have ace-7 suited of diamond, or no, not diamonds. He can have ace-7 suited of one combo. Ace-7 suited of clubs. That's the only one. Or ace-7 offsuit, I guess. Ace-5 suited. He, for bluffs, can have 5x, 7x. There aren't that many combos of those. 8s through 9s with a flush draw probably, or not a flush draw. There are half of those combos that have a spade in them. 8s through 10s. I think I said 8s through 9s for some reason. If he doesn't jam them pre-flop. So it's somewhere less than half the number of total combos for all those. The total number of combination for those is 3 times 3. he could have jack 10 suited, I guess. Doing a bit of math, if you were to add all these things up roughly, assuming he has some ace kings, he's actually more on the balanced side. I don't know that he really does. If you take away combos like that, he can actually bluff too much. If he does bluff with all those combos and has all those combos, especially if we start adding offsuit 10s and things along these lines, and offsuit 7x and 5x. Remember, I'm getting quite a good price. I'm getting over 3-1. I decide, basically, I don't think he has those hands as much as he needs to in order to bluff, and he may not bluff with them. So I think about it, and I end up folding. And if, by the way, you're paying much attention, ace jack, ace king, and ace 10 are quite a few combinations. I forgot to mention he could have ace queen. It's another thing. It's not very conventional to play ace queen like this, but it's possible. He could have check called ace queen and just jammed the river. That wouldn't totally surprise me. But the offsuit combos are really a lot of hands, even though I have one of the aces. That does reduce them by a fair bit, but not quite enough unless really starts adding loads of bluffs. Anyway, I make the correct fold. He wins the pot, but he does not win the session.
Hi guys, I'm Dan Cates, and you may know me from poker as Jungleman. And now I'd like to give you the keys to that success so that you can have success in those games as well, and in fact win the game of life. And that begins with freedom.
And you want to have the community to help you to get there. Join the Jungleverse now. We've got many of the tools and many of the links towards the best stuff that's out there in the poker market, and I'm committed to helping you guys become real champions of the game and make your dreams come true. That's my goal for you all. Join here. I'm helping us all work together to make a better future for everyone.
6 million euros on the line. I got some ace jack for some king queen suited. I remember at this point in time, he was 3-betting me a lot. I'm not folding any ace jack guys to someone who's 3-betting me a lot heads up. That's not how that works. So I call, obviously. The flop is king queen jack. Actually kind of decent for me. He does decide to bet. He could potentially have some pure bluffs, depending on how aggressive he wants to play, or some very close to pure bluffs like ace X or whatever. He bets. I'm not loving it. He bets like pots 1.2. I think he bets on the larger side. He bets 400k. He bets 1/3 pot. That's fine. I call 2 million in the pot. Turn an ace. Great news. Ish. I think it's not really great news, but I do improve against his range if he had ace X, or if he had a hand like king queen or king jack ish. Yeah, king jack ish. He has some queen jack too. He does 3-bet queen jack offsuit. So he checks to me, tanks forever. I thought I was supposed to bet this 100% on second thought, because it can have many queen X, ace X of spades, etc. Queen X of spades, ace X of clubs, king X of clubs type hands. He doesn't really have to worse two pair too much, I would have thought, because he kind of sets an ace king, ace queen. So I didn't really think there's much value to that. I snap check, but you're actually supposed to bet 50%. I don't think that matters too much. If you're really trying to play serious, you need to know this stuff. And anyway, checks through. Rivers ace 7. That's pretty innocuous. Now he bets 1.4 into 2 million. I tank for a long time. I don't think he has loads of bluffs here, but he might have some. He has shown the propensity to bluff like this before. I think for a long time, and I realize that he can actually have worse hands playing against him. He does overplay hands sometimes. He bets very thin. And I almost run out of time. And at the very last second, I call, and he's got king queen, which is fantastic news. Could also have queen jack, actually, or king jack. So it's pretty clearly a good call. That about wraps things up. From this point, I just went on to keep grinding him down and eventually stacked him for winning the biggest amount ever won on a poker stream, on the biggest game ever played on a poker stream. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys like this analysis or have any comments, remember to check out GTO Wizard, obviously. If you want to learn how to play like me or better than me, you could actually study it to play better than me. And shout out to one of my other sponsors, Phenom Poker. It's code Jungle if you're thinking to play low rate games where you can also actually earn a bit of the sight of a stock that's going up to the moon, just like Bitcoin. Check out Phenom Poker, code Jungle. And last shout out, obviously, to the Jungleverse, my own community, helping you to become financially free so that you can pursue your dreams and do roughly whatever you want as long as it's in a positive direction. Obviously, I want to show my own stuff. Anyway, see you guys later. Let me know what you think. Messages in the comments, and there's a good chance I'll respond.